especially in the university sector, there's got to be some more resilience. We've got to hear viewpoints we don't agree with.
Okay, I'm going to actually... Thank you. Thank you very much. Clap quickly because we're running out of time. The next question comes from... It actually takes us back, in a sense, to where Jordan Peterson's prominence began. It comes from Tara Parkhill.
Yes, this is directed towards Jordan Peterson. You stated before to the BBC that by adhering to people's preferred pronouns, that it's the starting point to an authoritarian regime or society. Is it possible, however, that it's more about giving people more rights and liberty, or even something as fundamental as respect?
Jordan.
Well, I never said that. What I said was that I wasn't going to allow the contents of my speech to be dictated by a virtue-signalling government, when never in the history of an English common law society had a government dared to regulate the actual voluntary contents of someone's speech except in a commercial situation.
Just explain, Jordan, to those in the audience who don't know precisely what you're talking about, what it was the government of Canada tried
the provincial
to legislate.
and Canadian, they did legislate it. The provincial and Canadian government, or the provincial and federal governments in Canada, mandated the use of personal pronouns and made it a criminal offence not to use them, at least under some circumstances. And there's been a variety of negative consequences of that, including the persecution of a teaching assistant at a university known as Wilfrid Laurier. And it isn't a matter of respect at all. And look, in the 1940s, the American Supreme Court, Americans have a very tight, what would you call, control or tight respect for free speech, decided that it was not constitutional for the government to place mandatory requirements on what people were required to utter in terms of their voluntary speech. There are certain things you can't say, but the government's not to mandate what you have to say. And respect and altruism and all of that is completely irrelevant as far as I'm concerned.
So just to clarify that point, if the government had said, made it a kind of voluntary thing, but with advice that that's what should happen, would you have gone along with that?
Well, they've been doing that for years,
yeah.
and I'm perfectly... Look, I've dealt with all sorts of people in my life. I treat people very politely, as a matter of course. If I'm dealing with someone reasonable, I address them in the manner that seems to be most appropriate to the social situation and most conducive to their, let's say, well-being mutually agreed upon. But as soon as the government decides that they have the right to decide what I have to say because of some false altruism on their part or some underlying and unexpressed ideology, then the answer to that is no damn way.
Catherine McGregor.